cutting the cable cord to save money. The trend has grown to over 33 million people and continues to rise.
We just saw a study recently come out from Parks Associates saying that they think 43% of current cable subscribers will switch to streaming this year.
Jess Barnes, editor for CordCuttersNews.com, gives us 3 predictions for the future of streaming. Starting with more content.
Netflix originals coming out every week. Hulu has also been investing in original content. And Disney, of course, coming out with all kinds of things that are exclusive to Disney Plus.
Discovery Plus offers its subscribers a slew of DIY and lifestyle networks with exclusive content to entice new subscribers. HBO Max has its own original content and classic TV favorites such as Friends, but it also includes new Warner Brothers movies.
Production companies are seeing that people aren't going to theaters right now, but they still want to reach those people.
That's why some movies meant for the theater, like Wonder Woman 1984, the Tom Hanks World War II thriller Greyhound, and Disney's Mulan, went to streaming either the same day as the theatrical release or earlier.
I think that they will just keep going straight to streaming because now people are finding the value of just having a service and watching from home.
Next, cable companies will offer more streaming.
We've seen cable companies losing video subscribers quarter after quarter.
Cable companies are now seeing streaming not as the enemy, but as a way to bring some of those customers back.
A lot of the companies just sort of have their streaming apps that are connected to their cable business.
It used to be that only third-party companies like Sling offered a set-top box that gave you streaming access to your cable company's content and your saved DVR programs from mobile devices.
So if you're a cable subscriber, you can use their app as well.
Finally, more free streaming options.
Because of money, people are just tired of these high cable bills. Whenever they switch, they are switching to save money, and free streaming services are definitely the way to do that.
Some of the more popular free services, the Roku channel, Pluto, Tubi, and Crackle, offer current and classic movies and TV shows. There's a catch with free streaming, though.
So instead of paying for a subscription, you are getting it for free, but you are going to have to sit through commercials.
To make it more convenient, some of the services put a countdown up in the corner to let you know how many commercials there are.
They're just really good apps to add to your cord-cutting collection. Even if you're paying for a service, it can't hurt to have this free one on your lineup as well.
Looking into the future of cutting the cable cord is at the top of the list.
So I went full circle. I was DirecTV guy. I cut the cord. I went to streaming only, just hit my head against the wall trying to watch sports, drove me crazy. We went back and got DirecTV again. I mean, I probably spend $250 a month between my DirecTV and all of the subscriptions that we have to all of these random things, but I love all of it. And I don't want to have to be like, oh, should satellite companies, and by the way, when I cut the cord the first time and I went to the mailbox, et cetera, or whatever down in Southlake, and I handed them the box and they said, oh yeah, okay. Well, they knew the exact process. I said, why do you get a lot of these? They go, we get about 20 of those a day. And there were people cutting cords and that was like 10 years ago.
I was with DirecTV for years until we got to a point where they were like, oh, we're not offering any promotions. And I'm like, well, this is $250 a month. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's insane, you know? And then just trying to figure out, but I'll tell you, I hate it. It drives me. I would love to just go back to like basic cable in so many ways because the flipping back and forth between streaming services, it's like, oh, I want to watch the Mavs game. I got to go to the Bally's app to do that. Well, this app sucks. So I got to restart it 14 times. I want to flip over here to watch this at halftime. Well, I got to go back to another app and all that sort of stuff. I would love to go back to a world where it was all centralized.
Right.
But
Top 5. I'm your host, Ayaz Akhtar. Cutting the cord. It's a trend that lots of people have tried out. Ditching the traditional cable packages and moving towards watching more stuff online, like this video. So if you're tinkering with the idea of saying goodbye to your cable TV, here are the top 5 tips for potential cord cutters. At number 5, take an inventory of what you actually watch. If you've got cable, you got this endless stream of video being pumped into your home at all times. But what do you really watch, and how much are you willing to pay for it? Let's do some math with these 3 shows. Louie, Bar Rescue, and My Cat from Hell. Because, cats. All 3 of them are available for subscription on iTunes. Louis costs $19.99. My Cat from Hell costs $19.99, and Bar Rescue sells for $39.99 for a pass to Volume 4 because apparently it doesn't do seasons. Right there, that's $79.97, so about $80. So if you want to break it down to a monthly cost, you're going to pay around $6.67 per month. But iTunes charges you up front for season pass, so you're not really paying about $6 per month. And number 4, find out how you can watch sports. If you're a fan of an out-of-market team, like if you're a San Francisco Giants fan in New York City, you can get something like a subscription to MLB.tv. The same options available for basketball fans with NBA.tv, with local teams being blacked out. Regional sports fans might be able to check out PlayStation Vue, but that's really limited right now. Sling TV is a very good option for folks who like watching sports on networks like TNT and ESPN. Number 3, an antenna can be your friend. Depending on where you live, you can probably get plenty of broadcast channels for free in HD over the air using an antenna. One of my favorite tools to use is at tvfool.com, and it is a TV signal locator. You input some information about your address, and you'll find out what channels you can see. If you're far away from broadcast towers, you might need a large antenna. If you're nearby, you can probably get away with some cheaper antennas. And number 2, pick your device. If you cut the cord, say goodbye to your cable box. So what's going to replace it? You'll want a set-top box compatible with whatever service you're using. iTunes Video only works on the Apple TV. Vudu, Amazon, and a number of other services run on the Roku. If you want the convenience of a DVR with your over-the-air TV, you're going to need something like the TiVo Romeo, Channel Master DVR, or Simple TV. And the number 1 tip for a potential cord cutter is to ask a question. Is it worth it? At this point, you have an idea of how much money TV shows, services, and hardware will cost you. So do you really want to cut the cord? You can also look into smaller cable bundles from your provider to see if it matches the pricing you figured out. Alternatively, you can call your cable company and try to negotiate a lower rate. Consumer Reports has a good guide on how to handle that kind of thing. Also, don't forget that you're likely sticking with your cable company, since it's most likely they are your internet service provider, so you're never truly cutting the cord. If you're convinced to go the internet-only route, you might want to look into a faster connection.
And it was incredibly, should these companies be worried? I remember the DirecTV had like a big ad campaign with Tony Romo and like Dish Network. I mean, they spent lots of money for advertising. Should they be worried?
Yeah, I think they should. I think, they're lucky right now that there's things like, for instance, a lot of, other than the NFL, which is always kind of on broadcast or with ESPN and things like that, hockey, basketball, and baseball are kind of locked into these deals for the next couple of years with what are called RSNs, right? Which are regional sports networks, something like Bally or Fox Sports Southwest,
which I hate.
Yeah. And so they're locked in on these things, right? And so honestly, and that's going to change, right? Because it's going to be more lucrative for, like, say, the NBA. Whenever that deal's up, which I think is like 2025, 2024, they're definitely going to go, all right, we're getting rid of that, and we're just going to sell an NBA app for $200 a year, League Pass, basically, like they do now. But you'll be able to get your local team, which you can't currently do. They will black that out. So, I mean, I think that will be a real, because a lot of people have, cable just for sports.
Yeah.
And so it's just for news, right? And there's now, even you see it with like Fox Nation or whatever, has like a just streaming version of Fox News that you can pay whatever, $5 a month for, or whatever. And so I think really what the cable companies are now are middlemen. And they're, streamers figured out ways around them.
Yeah.
And they're gonna, and sports are going to next. They would love to right now. Unfortunately, they signed 10-year deals 10 years ago or 8 years ago. And so that will change as those deals come up, because quite frankly, all those streamers too are looking for any advantage they can have on each other, because, they're in this battle to chase Netflix down. And, Amazon might just pay $2 billion to have the NBA.
First, a growing number of Hoosiers are now cutting the cord, finding cheaper ways of watching TV.
A Cardinal couple saved $1,000 a year by dropping their cable package and found a way to get their favorite programs online. Scott Swan is in studio with us this morning to show us the different options that Hoosiers are choosing to watch TV. Nice to have you with us, Scott.
Yeah, good morning, Ben and Julia. If you are frustrated by the cost of your cable or satellite bill, or you don't want to pay for channels that you never watch, this is your segment this morning. Look at all of these devices and services that are available out there for you to watch TV. And as we found, these are some options that allow you to watch Channel 13 from your phone or your laptop and save a lot of money. The morning routine at Jerry Moody's house involves multitasking, getting the coffee going and watching TV.
So I watch it on my phone while I'm walking back and forth between getting myself ready and getting my kids ready. I have it playing on my phone so that I can still listen to it, really.
Jerry and her husband are among a growing number of Hoosiers now watching television without a cable or satellite provider.
So our two non-negotiables were to be able to still get local channels and live sports.
Their solution, over the top, otherwise known as OTT. That's when you watch TV shows using the internet instead of going with a cable or satellite provider. The Moody's like the OTT option, YouTube TV.
The biggest selling point is with YouTube TV, it's tied to you as a person and not your address. So it's on our devices. So when I travel, since I travel a lot for work, I'm able to sit in my hotel room and pull up what I've recorded.
For instance, on YouTube TV, you still get Channel 13. The OTT option also allows you to subscribe to some of your favorite programs. Think of it like DVR.
It's become an around-the-clock experience.
Larry D'Elia is the president and general manager of Channel 13. He says these new services are ways of cutting your cost, but getting fewer channels.
So if YouTube TV or Hulu or any of these other providers offer you a lineup for $35, that's what you get. And those lineups always include all local TV stations.
We're never going back.
For the Moody's, the move to YouTube TV saves them a lot of money. They used to pay $185 a month for TV and internet. Now they're paying just $90 a month.
Saving $1,000 a year makes you contemplate a lot.
You know, it's interesting, when I polled my students to ask them how many of them saw Spider-Man, majority of my classes all saw it. When I polled them again and asked them, where did you see advertisements for it? None of them saw them on television.
Sure.
They were playing in front of social media apps or on YouTube or different places. What does cord cutting mean to advertising? How does this change their strategy?
That's what I do for a living is what's called digital experience strategy. So I work at an agency, and I work with a bunch of clients on their digital strategy, and that's already kind of over. That's kind of, because mass pop advertising, shotgun style, hey, let's throw an ad on ABC at 7:30. It is pretty cheap. It's much cheaper now than it used to be, but it's just not nearly as great as the great thing about digital advertising is you only spend money on like people that are likely to see Spider-Man.
Right.
So because I've got this Epsilon data set, I can tell you the exact type of profile with 80% accuracy that's already kind of predetermined to be interested in a Spider-Man movie. Yeah. And these other 20% of people are never gonna. So let's even show them the ad. Let's show them an ad for a knitting show. And so, the advertising is already getting so much more targeted that way and so much more intelligent. And it ends up being better deal for the brands because they're able to they're not wasting money on the 15 people that went to the bathroom during the commercial on ABC at 7:30.
So does Nielsen ratings, are they dead? Does it even matter anymore?
It matters. It does for certain shows. Nielsen's crazy the way they still do things. It's like 1975. It's like people literally with like a notebook writing down what they watched and things like that. I think it does on certain shows. I think it still matters to something like NCIS, right? They're still going to sell that. I think it matters with sports,
right?
That are still on that. But now for a lot of shows, even things that may have a first run on, NBC, they're much more interested in, yes, the Nielsen ratings is kind of a holistic part of it. That's 20%. How many people watched it on demand? How many people DVR'd it? And then when we showed it on Hulu on 2 weeks later, how many people streamed it? And
they can check that I DVR'd their show and watched it.
Oh yeah. They know. Yeah. Now they can, especially it's all digital. It tags all that. So, and that counts as that's less, right? That's worth less to an advertiser.
Yeah. There's no way I'm watching the commercial if I DVR'd that.
Right. But they have kind of a holistic score they'll put together based on all of those behaviors. And then that's whether that they renew the show or not, or how much money that show gets, et cetera.
But other than money, I want to save money, why do you think, what has been the biggest reason for people to cut the cord?
I just think it's the filler. It's and mixed with the filler, meaning there's however many channels you have on your cable package, your satellite package, or your YouTube TV package or whatever. However many channels you have, do you think you watch 10% of them? I don't.
No.
I mean, I think I have YouTube TV. I literally only watch sports. That is literally the only thing that ever goes on my TV from YouTube TV is the various sports that I watch. And then maybe like the Oscars, like a live event that I have to watch in the moment. Other than that, it's like, I don't know, when my wife's going to sleep, I'll turn on House Hunters or something. I mean, like there's nothing that this service provides to me beyond sports. And there is so many people that are in that camp. I mean, my parents are cord cutters, which is shocking in so many ways. They're not really that type of people. But even still, they have like, I don't know, Fubo or one of the various knockoffs of YouTube TV or whatever. Anytime I go over there, they're watching Disney Channel for the grandkids, or they're watching like Dr. Pol, like some like vet show that's on, I don't even know what channel, but like in a perfect world, you could be like, I would like to pay $1 for every channel that I watch, and that's it. Like that's where I would like to draw the line. So there's so many channels that are filler. And then with your student generation, this still, and you're this way too. I forgot you're this way too. You watch crap on your phone all the time. I mean, I work so hard to cram my house with as many big TVs as I possibly can. And I like to pick up my phone or my laptop to watch a show. I wouldn't do it. I don't do that. But that's a generational thing. There's for so many of my kids, that I've worked with over the years, it's like, or my interns or whatever, or your employees, at Triumph or whatever. And they're like, oh, I've never watched something on the TV. I just go to my room and I watch Grey's Anatomy on my laptop or whatever else. There's just not so money's a big factor, filler's a big factor, but there's just the TV as a sort of an overarching thing has kind of lost its place and its hold on people because it was so successful. It's a weird thing of like, TV is so branched off and niche and successful that now actually TV doesn't have as much power as it used to.
Except Steam media companies have a plan to battle back. Here's Julia Borston.
Media companies are pulling out all the stops to fight the growing cord-cutting threat. Pay TV subscriber declines accelerated to 1.8 million last quarter. That's the third consecutive quarter of over 1 million subscribers lost. AT&T, which owns DirecTV, is suffering the most, losing 1.1 million video subscribers last quarter. That's nearly 3 times its year-earlier loss.
The biggest factor when it comes to acceleration over the past quarter is that there's a confluence of new options available to consumers. Most of them are driven by newly emerged subscription services, most of which are actually effectively free to the consumer. So as a result, when you look at a person's time, more and more of that time can be spent on a subscription service and on options that are available over the top.
But while consumers drop TV bundles, they do need faster broadband or mobile internet to access streaming services. And that's where these media giants are focusing. AT&T growing its wireless customer base much faster than expected last quarter, while Comcast high-speed internet customers grew at a record pace, its best third quarter in a decade. In fact, now Comcast calls broadband, not video, the foundation of our customer relationships. In addition to selling the pipes, media companies have 3 ways to tap into the shift to streaming. First, of course, there are the wave of subscription services such as Disney Plus and HBO Max. Second, there's selling content to streamers, as Viacom's Nickelodeon is to Netflix. And third, there's digital advertising on streaming apps.
I absolutely believe that the suppliers will continue investing in the free ad-supported services simply because the subscription marketplace is quite crowded at this time. But will the consumers actually gravitate to consistent usage of those services? That remains a big question mark.
Connected TV ads, such as those on Hulu or Roku, are expected to grow nearly 40% this year to $7 billion and to double in 4 years, according to eMarketer. While Hulu is Disney's bet on the digital ad market, NBC Universal will launch its ad-supported play, Peacock, next year. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Julia Borston in San Francisco.